Another edition of the Bluejay Shakeout Podcast is here. Josh Peterson, Chris Gannon with you as always. And so fun to have this conversation now, Chris, after the events of the last couple of weeks. I mean, we had been previewing, we had been getting excited for the Big East Championships all season long. First of all, how are you today as we get rolling?
A little bit of cold weather yesterday, this morning. Looks like it's warm up the rest of the week, but it's been pretty good. Got some good workouts in with the regionals group yesterday, sprint groups today. Just finished up javelin practice. So that time of the year where it just everything's all happening at once, but we're good.
Good. Awesome to hear. We are now a week and a half removed, rather, from the Big East Championships. It's crazy about life, right? Where you have this build up, you're looking forward, you're excited, and then you still got to get to the other things after that. So now as we get further away from this moment in time that you had been anticipating, what's that feeling like for you and the program at large?
It was fun to just kind of have that moment, if you will, a week and a half ago, and that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, let's say, just kind of enjoying what that was and what that meant for our program. But even into that Monday, maybe just people just continuing to reach out and feedback from other coaches or people or whatnot. But really, it was just kind of like back to it. Like it was. So I'm glad I had a couple people tell me just to make sure I took time on that day to appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, nothing really stopped around here. It was right back into the next set of workouts, right back into prepping for Oklahoma State this week. So it was not so much of a. Yeah, it was just the grind continues. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like you said, like we keep moving for regionals, and then now we're already talking about indoor track, and just wrapped up javelin practice right now as we're planning for outdoor already. So it just doesn't stop. And that's kind of the wonderful fun part of this sport, if you will, is that it's just always something that's next.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Was it all that you hoped for in like the grand sense? I mean, I saw you multiple times that morning because I was doing PA work, and it was so interesting because like you're focused on all these things as it relates to the event, but you also have your competitors, your runners who are going to be participating in it as well. So was it what you hoped for from a big picture standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything to have gone better or smoother. I mean, minus just a little bit of rain, which is what it is. The course was in phenomenal condition. The feedback from everybody in the Big East was top tier. Both teams ran really well. I couldn't. If sun was out, my kids were there. I mean, it was a great day. It was a great celebration of not just this last year, but that course and everything over the last 7 years that fairs and I have been here. But there was people back from before our time that were here, and just even knowing what that meant for them to see just the continued growth of the program, and to have a course and a home that is big enough and good enough and grand enough to host on the stage of what is the Big East Championships. And it was special for sure, and then on Saturday I got to see it from the Summit League side of things, and helping operate their meet, and feedback from them on the Summit side was much the same. Like it was just a great facility, great concept, great event, well executed. So
I wanted to ask you about the alumni because they help lay the bricks, right, that allow for something like this to happen. What did it mean for them to be able to be there and to know that they helped play a part in it over the years?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think I've used the word special a lot. I don't know what other any other way to describe it. We were able to get together with all the alumni on Thursday night that were back in town already, and just kind of spend time together and reminisce, and just catch up. And then obviously for them to all be there Friday, and then we had a function back on campus afterwards. And I think for them, like we talked. Some of those kids had run on that course in the first iteration of it back 4 years ago, and for them to see what the course is now. Some of them never even ran on the course, and we didn't have it at all. And a couple of those kids that were back, they're adults now. They're still kids in my mind. It was the first time they'd been back to Omaha since they graduated even. And just for all of them to have we've traveled to here or there, Big East, championships at Butler, Georgetown, or Van Cortlandt Park in New York City, and their time here, and for it all to be here at home, I think just meant the world to them. And we talked a lot about that, like it's happening now, but none of it happens without those people that believed and laid that foundation, whether that's all the way back to the class of 95, which we had people back for, or early 2000s and everything in between. So it took all those people being part of what this program is to get where we are, and I think that was pretty cool to celebrate that with everybody that was able to make it back.
What a really special day. So now let's look at it from the actual current team perspective. Pleased, what was your reaction to the performance? I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. There were some injuries, some niggles that were going on with some of your athletes. What did you think of the performance of your group?
Yeah, both teams ran about as well as they could have on that day. It was pretty fortunate, and that's the goal. Like every coach has that goal, that you can bring it together when it matters most in championship racing. And we were able to do that. Tay hadn't run in 3 weeks until race day, and she took her boot off and then let it rip. And she'd been our one all year, and just health wise wasn't able to be our one, but she still made a huge difference. And for athletes who have just had her off day, it happens in running and racing, and everybody else stepped up. And for our women's team to finish 2 points out of 6 and in 7th when we were projected 8th heading in, we have to be excited about that. And then on the men's side, they ran well. Same thing, they were projected 8th and finished 6th. We ran really, really well, and both teams ran well as packs and grouped up together, whether it was just 2 of them at a time or 3 and more. Our women's spread was 32 seconds. That's the best total team performance our women's team has had since my time here. We've had potentially some better individual performances or maybe a lower score here or there, but collectively as a team, that's the best they've ran. And, that guys team, very similar performance for them to have run as well as they did with as young as that team is. And at the same time, those upperclassmen really, really leveling up and raising the bar when it mattered most.
We have talked before, Chris, about the mental side of the sport, how you approach it, how you view it. I wonder with Taylor in particular, I always talk about my Boston block and how, I imagined it to be something, and it wasn't that because of injuries. And, I had to make the most of what it ended up being. I asked that kind of as an entry point into Taylor, given, knowing what this was going to be, what the Big East Championships could be for her. How were those conversations in the lead up to it, and how have they been since then, given that, it wasn't what she would have imagined it to be a couple of months ago?
Yeah, I give her a lot of credit. She's matured a lot in her 3 years here as she's a junior now. And we talked a lot about that. There was definitely me handing her Dina Castor's book, Let Your Mind Run. I was like, hey, read this over the next 2 weeks, which if you're a runner, you haven't read it yet, definitely need to. Even if you're not a runner, it's just a great book about mindset and specifically related to running. I also, made a point to send her some Dr. Jack Daniels. I'll clarify there, not Jack Daniels, but Dr. Jack Daniels videos, just about exercise physiology and how we don't lose fitness over that period of time. And that it's just really just her being confident in where she was. And she was still getting pool workouts in and doing some cross training and whatnot. But yeah, she did a great job. And, it takes a lot of mental fortitude to trust your training and be confident in yourself and be able to go execute when, you hadn't been on the ground in a couple of weeks. And, I'm proud of her for that. And, the goal right now is get her healthy for running around the oval this spring.
Yeah. I can't imagine you were surprised by it. Were you surprised at all by what she was able to do and how she was able to handle everything?
No, not at all. No, she's gritty. She's tough. She have never ever questioned, her not leaving it all out there. And, I wish she was healthy, and I wish she would have had the moment that in the race that I know she's capable of. But I'm really proud of her for what she gave, not, just of herself, but for her teammates too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Regionals coming up this weekend, as we talked about at the start of the pod. Already, I mean, it's wild that we are in mid-November, that the season is coming to a close. Now that you're past, this thing that you had been looking forward to for quite some time, what's the feeling for your group as they get ready to take on Stillwater?
Yeah, it's Stillwater. It's probably the toughest major cross country courses in the country. It's nothing to, you know, it's not Mahoney State Park. It's not Bradley. It's not Gans Creek. It's brutal. It's hard. And so we've spent a lot of time talking about that, just how we're mentally going to prepare for it. Obviously, we're really fortunate to have Coach Fayers who ran at Stillwater and Oklahoma State, and that course was his backyard. It was an All-American there, and just that experience and expertise that he has, and as we race prep for it, and just strategies and things like that. So that's huge for us. I think for us, we just have to do our thing. We can't worry about the fact that on the men's side, the number 1 team and the number 2 team in the country are both going to be there in Oklahoma State and Iowa State. That just is what it is. And that doesn't really impact us at all. We still need to go run and execute our race. I think the biggest thing on the men's side is they jumped the 10K. And that's a big jump, 8K to 10K. But, if you go back and look at some of those kids a year, they ran 5K a year ago. And so what's that going to be like, just moving up? And so on the ladies side, it's 6K. It's still a tough course. It's still multiple nationally ranked teams in that field. It's a big field. That's the other thing. We're going to see 34 women's teams, I think, and something right around 32 men's teams. And so it's a big field. It's a lot of racers. And it's just a matter of us taking care of ourselves and not worrying about what other people are doing and how they're approaching the race, and knowing that we have to run to our strengths and within ourselves and execute our race plan. And if we do that, we can go have a really good day. And so that's got to be the goal and the mindset heading into Friday.
You mentioned the mental side of it. What does that look like in the preparation for you and your group, especially ahead of such a tough course? Is it visualization? Is it, I guess I'll just leave it kind of open-ended. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, definitely. We put some film out there. There's really good film on the course since they did host regionals just a couple years ago. We have a full ESPN broadcast of it. We can go back, we can see the hills, we can get an idea of what the turns of the course look like and the contours of it. We have elevation charts. We have all of our data within our team of what someone like Ryan Montero ran on that course on the men's side 2 years ago. I think the first split Ryan was 118th and he finished like 56th or something like that. He had, I think, one of the greatest overall improvements over the first split to the final of the 10K that day. And so, we have some of that data to say like, hey, if we approach the race this way, we know we can be successful. So there's part of that too, and getting an idea of how fast we're going to be going out. We obviously have known in the back of our mind that we had this on the table. So, we've been running hills, throughout the fall. But, we had one big last hill workout last week, and we just told them to execute it the same way they would this week. And then, the other thing is it just gets out quick because of the caliber of the national level of talent that'll be there. And so just even some workouts for us to talk about what it feels like to get out that quick to make sure we get in position, but then also then settle into what our race pace needs to be. So we're just trying to incorporate some of those things into practice, but definitely a lot of visualization and film study, if you will, which I don't think many people probably think about film study from a running standpoint, but especially with a course like this, it bodes well for us to have spent time, watching a little YouTube.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I did it ahead of Boston. I've done it ahead of all the marathons that I've run over the last few years, and I know that it gets me ready for the day. So that's awesome to hear. Chris Gannon, another Bluejay Shakeout pod in the books. Again, congratulations. I know it's now a couple weeks in the rear view, and it's eyes up and it's eyes forward. But huge congratulations to the Big East Championships, and now good luck at the regionals in Stillwater on Friday.
Sounds good, Josh. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, that's another edition of the Bluejay Shakeout Podcast. Like and subscribe here to the channel for more videos like these. We'll talk to you soon.